So we have already created the rule and we have executed a simple SQL to a keyword. But now let's use that same rule to apply a default formula for the when we create the data in the keyword. So when we move the data from SQL to a keyword, we can also apply a specific formula for the selected columns. So how do we do that? Let me show you through an example. I am selecting the same rule that I have already created for SQL to keyword. What I'll do is I'll edit the same existing rule. If you see, if I click on the edit, it will open this form where I have an option to select the default formula. So what I do is I'll select the default formula so that whenever the data is moved from SQL to keyword, automatically the formula is being applied to the keyword columns. Okay, and then I click next. So after I click next, you can see already the selected source and target columns and the primary key and the update columns. I don't need to change anything here. I go next, and then here order by columns are already present, and then I can click next. And I select the formula key columns. So the primary key columns based on which the formula has to be applied, I select those columns, and I also select the formula keyword. So the target keyword and also the formula keyword. We have already selected the target keyword in the first tab. We have to now even select the formula keyword so that the formulas that need to be applied for this keyword will be fetched from this formula keyword. The formula keyword will match with the target keyword, match the columns, and based on which it will apply the. So usually the formula keyword that's created by default along with the target keyword, and the formulas that need to be applied are created in this keyword. So usually the formula keyword and the target keyword structure and everything should be maintained same, so that it can match based on the structure and apply the formulas when a new data is inserted or updated to a target keyword. That's all. The next and next, and we just say. So let's go to the server so that I can show you the same with an example. So what, this is my source SQL table. So what I am doing right now is I am just inserting some records into my SQL table so that I can show you the formulas that are being applied to the data. So I'll just say maths. Okay. I'm just inserting some sample records into this. So if you see, I have my sample records MATHS into this. And now what I would do is I will go back to my velocity screen where the integration template is there. And so in the velocity screen here, what I would do is I would select the rule that I've created. I will just say execute selected rule. If you see, once it is executed, it would say it has been executed. I click OK. So now I go back to my database. I will go check that keyword, what has happened to my keyword, if those new records have been inserted. Here, this is some procedure that a default procedure that we have so that the keyword is converted to the SQL. So it's easier for you, for any user or for anyone to verify from the backend if the data has been created or what's the state of the keyword. So if you see, all the records with maths have been inserted to the keyword 239. Let's take one of the row IDs to verify if the formula has been applied. 29726. I just go to BW cell of that row ID, and if I click, if you see, this is the formula that has been applied for this particular column. So if you let me show you even the default formula, a default formula just. So if you see, I'll just show how the default formula structure also looks like. I'm just checking the row table ID for the default formula. This is the table ID of the default formula. If you see, it just has one record with a formula in it. Just this is the formula this is the row that is there in that default formula keyword, which is exact match of the target structure. And if I go check this row ID, there's just one default formula that is there, which is being applied to the data in the target keyword. So, and these are some default values which will be automatically updated. These are some default values, and this is the